Well, it's been a long time coming, but Hytale is finally out in early access. So, let's mod it, shall we? Today, we're going to go over how to make your very first pack and add a basic custom block into it. Now, since almost everything is done within the game engine itself, we're going to start off by making a new creative world. Let's call it Example Mod. Now here in the world settings, you don't have to change anything. However, I'm going to change the creative mode to Generator World and pause the time. You don't have to do this at all, it's just a personal preference. That way I don't have to deal with the world hub or the daylight cycle. Now let's apply those settings and create the world. Once you're in the world, it's time to get started. First, you have to OP yourself and able to access the asset editor. You can do this by opening the chat log and typing /OP space self and hit enter. Now you're OP. Then you can access the asset editor by pressing B and hovering over the Assets tab up here. Then, right at the top, we have the Asset Editor. By clicking on that, it will open it up in a new window. This window will allow us to create our first item, and really, it allows us to create every item that we want. Now that we're in the editor, you can create a new pack by clicking on these three dots up here and then Add Pack. This will open up a new window where we can fill out all the basic information about your pack. First of all, we have its name. This will be its unique identifier and will be used for the pack's folder name and when referencing it within the engine. So for example, let's put Basic Example Pack Group. This is basically just whoever made the pack, so it could be the name of the development team, for example Hytale, or the name of the developer. So in my case, I'll just put Dr. Grayscale. Next up, we have the version number. This is basically just the current version number of the pack itself, and this is used to help whoever's using it know what specific version of the pack they have. So if you ever update the pack in the future, you can keep track of whatever version is the current version and what version people are using. So for right now, we'll keep it at version 1.0. It's the first version of our pack. Next, we have website. This is not something we have to do, it's optional. But if you want it to link to a specific website like a CurseForge page or GitHub page, then you could, or even just your own website. Description. Again, this is optional, but it's basically just the description for the pack. So for now, let's put a very simple example Hytale pack. There we go. And lastly, we have authors. Again, this is the creators of the pack. So let's add an author down here and add the name of the author. So Dr. Grayscale. You can also add an email or URL for additional contact information for every author of the pack itself. But we'll just leave that blank for now. And we can just hit save. Now, what this does is create the new pack. So as you can see up here, we have the base game, Hytale, right here. But we also have our custom pack, right here. So packs have two core directories. You have server, which is all this stuff here, and common, which as you can see is blank. The server directory will include all the data for your blocks, items, etc. This is where all your code and stuff is going to go. While the common directory will hold all of your assets, so stuff like icons, textures, models, etc. But as you can see, right now, everything in common is blank, and everything within server, all these folders, blank. So let's fix that. We can do this by pressing the plus symbol right up here next to server and common. This will open up the asset creation menu. There's a few different options out here, so let's go over them. First, we have asset pack. This is basically where we're making the asset, what asset pack we are making the asset in. So we want it to be our basic example pack. Next up is asset type. This is the specific type of asset that we're creating. In this case, it would be an item. Yes, I know we're making a block, but in Hytale, all blocks are still considered items, so we'll make item. Next up, we have folder. This is where within the item directory, the items information will be stored. So you could separate each of your items into different folders to help organize things. For example, a folder for swords and one for blocks or ores. But for right now, we're just going to leave this blank. Unique asset ID. This is pretty straightforward. It's the ID of the item itself that will be used when referencing the item. Keep in mind that this is not the name that will be displayed in the game. However, for the sake of organization, you should probably still make the ID the same as whatever you're going to call the item. In this case, we're going to call it muddy _ soil. And lastly, we have what is, in my opinion, the most useful option so far, copy asset. This lets you, instead of having to create all of the item's data from scratch, you can instead copy all the data from an existing item within the game or one of the items you've already created, and then just modify it to your liking, making it exactly how you want it to be. So, for example, we're going to click on copy asset, and it will give us a little menu here. This is our pack, the example pack. So if we wanted to copy an item that we'd already created, we'd see them here. Item, we'd see them in here, in this folder layout. But since we're going to copy a Hytale item, we're going to use a Hytale block as a base for our new custom block. We're going to click on Hytale, and then we're going to search for whatever block we're trying to copy. In this case, I'm going to copy soil _ dirt, a basic dirt block. And over here, we can see everything that it's copying. Tags, icons, categories, item level, set, resource types, blocks, and we can see the source code. This is all of the code that it's being copied as well. This is exactly what it's being copied. This is the code. You can click on the X if you want to not copy a specific thing from here. I think that some things are copied over no matter what. Let's see here. ID, soil, block type, material, particles. I think that's all under block type. Yeah, I think this just is everything, if I'm not mistaken. This is just the code. And then we're going to hit... yeah, just all of it. We're going to hit create. Now, what this does is create the item. So now, inside of our basic pack, we have a basic muddy _ soil block. Now, as you can see, not everything is rendering correctly. This icon up here, there's just nothing here. Our textures and icons are not correctly designated. So if we were to equip this item and then go back into the editor, I mean, not into the editor, into the game, it's kind of broken. Now, we can fix this pretty easily. So we just have to open the editor back up. And now here in the editor, if we wanted to use the exact same texture that the base game uses, we can just go down to rendering. And then the texture, which I believe is block texture 0 and then texture.png. We can just click on this, and then we can see every texture that's in base Hytale. So if we just select it and then select it, it should update it properly. Although we might have to switch it. There we go. Now it's a farm block texture. And as you can see, the icon is still using the dirt texture, and it's still called dirt. But we have a custom block. Now if we go back into the asset editor, and we change it back to soil dirt and select it, it's rendering properly up here. And now look at that, instantly changed to dirt. So now we have a exact copy of the dirt block from base Hytale. Now, how do we make this block our own? Simple. Go back to the asset editor. Now that we have the basic framework for our new custom block, we have to obviously customize it to make it the block that we want it to be. So for starters, let's go to rendering and go over the textures itself and how it renders everything. So when you're making a basic cube, which is a box with 6 sides, obviously, you can texture either all, which is every single side of the cube. It'll all use the exact same texture. Sides, which will just render whatever texture you put here on the sides of the cube, but not the top or bottom. Up and down, which will render whatever texture you put there on the top and bottom. Up, down, north, south, east, west. Those are just all the different sides of the blocks. Now, because of how Hytale works, you can't really do left, right, that won't work. There's 4 sides, and left and right are only 2 directions. So instead, you have north, south, west, and east, which are just the 4 directions of the cube. So, for example, we could put south here, and then pull some random texture from, let's say bone, for example. And now, every texture on this block, aside from the, I believe we did south, if I remember correctly, I could be wrong, is dirt. And then south, we have bone. Now, you can do that for every single side. Or you can just leave it blank and have it all. Now, for this block, we want to have all of the sides be the exact same texture, since we're making a muddy soil block. But as you can see, if we go to this directory, which shows the different asset directories, we don't have anything in here at all. In order to fix this, we have to find our mods folder within the world that we created. There's 2 ways of finding this. Either you can navigate to the directory manually, just by using your file explorer and finding wherever your world save is, or we can use a little bit of an easier way of getting it. We can exit out of the asset editor. We can quit to main menu, go to worlds, find the world in question, example mod, and then right click on it. Then we can click on this open folder here. This will bring up our world file within our explorer, our file explorer. As you can see, we can see saves, example mod, and this is the world save itself. This is all the stuff for the world. Now, what we want to do is navigate into mods and find our example pack that we made. Our mod pack is right here. So if we go into it, here we are. This is where all the information for your mod is going to be stored. All the information for your pack is going to be stored. So obviously we have server, and if we go in here, we can see items, and we can see the JSON file for our muddy soil block. But right now we don't need this. What we need to do is go up to here, the main directory for our pack, and we need to add a few things. Now, listen up. Your folder's layout is extremely important, because if we want to add custom textures, models, etc., the structure of the file has to be exactly the same as the one used within Hytale. So, to start with, we're going to create a folder that will hold all of our items' textures. This is called the common folder, or it's the common directory that we saw earlier. So we're going to create a new folder and call it common. Now, keep in mind, it has to have a capital C. It has to be exactly the same as the layout that Hytale uses. So inside of this folder, we're going to create another folder for new folder block textures. Again, with a capital B and a capital T. And inside of here is where all of your textures for each of your basic blocks that you make are going to be stored. Now, when I say basic block, I'm referring to a block that has 6 sides, like the cube block that we were looking at earlier. For example, grass blocks, snow blocks, etc. Textures for blocks with more advanced geometry, like crafting tables and potions, are stored in a different folder. However, we'll cover those kinds of blocks in a later video. So for now, let's put in our texture that we want to use for this muddy soil block. To do that, all you have to do is just drag over your texture from a different folder into here. And if we change the view to large icons, we can see our muddy soil.png. So you just put your texture right here. Now, an important note about textures. All textures have to be some multiple of 32. So like 32 by 32 for the texture of basic blocks, like this one is, as you can see, 32 by 32. Or 32 by 64, 64 by 64, 64 by 128. It has to be a multiple of 32 for the system to render it and use it properly. But now that we have this texture here, we're good to go. We can go back out to common, and we have to add a few more folders for some other aspects of the block. So now that we're in common, we're going to create a new folder, and we're going to call it icons with a capital I, and then inside of this folder, we're going to create icons generated, or not icons generated, sorry, items generated. There we go. Inside of this folder is where all of your games, all of your items, icons will be generated. So all of the icons that you can see in the hotbar and in the inventory, this is where they're going to be. Now, we don't have to put anything in here manually. We can generate them ourselves, and I'll show you to do that in a bit. But for now, we can go back up to the top folder, the root of the folder, and we're good. We have the texture in here, and we have the basic icon folder as well. Now, we will have to come back here later to add stuff for like the name and description, and we're definitely going to come back here in later videos to add more advanced stuff, like as I was saying before, crafting tables, blocks, ores, items, stuff like that. But for now, let's just head back to the asset editor and finish up this basic block. Now that we're back within the world itself, we can open the asset editor again. And then we can navigate to the common folder. And as you can see, we have two new folders here, block textures and icons. And if we go to block textures, we can see we have the muddy soil block texture, and it's here. And if we go to icons, items generated, there's nothing in here, but that's fine. So let's go to server, let's find our item, the muddy soil block, click on that. And what we're gonna do is go to rendering again. We're going to go to the item texture, not rendering, sorry, the block rendering. We're gonna go to block texture, go to 0, the index 0, and we're going to change the all here and select our the pack directory, and then block textures. This will open up the directory, and now we can see muddy soil. Select that, and there we go. Now it's been changed to our custom texture. And if we go back into the game, as you can see, it's now rendering this dirt as our muddy soil block texture on every side. Now, as you can see, it still says dirt. It's still calling the item dirt, and the icon is still incorrect. It's still using the old dirt block icon, but we can fix that pretty easily by opening up the asset editor again, and then going to, I believe it is general, and then icon right here. What we can do is click on this button right here, and this will allow us to generate a new icon using the render of the block. So we can hit save icon, cancel, and now it's going to icons, items generated, muddy_soil.png, and has created a new PNG image within the items generated folder that we made earlier, and now that's being used for our item, and it's the icon. So now if we go back into game, as you can see, it's a question mark. That is perfectly normal. Enable for the icon to be updated properly, we'll first need to reload the game. We get our, not the whole game, just the world server. So let's quickly do that. And now that we're back in the world, as you can see, the icon is rendering properly. It's our muddy soil block. And if we open up our inventory, we move it around, and it's rendering properly in our hands, it's rendering properly in the world, and we can place it down. And now we have the texture for our fully custom block. Now, there's one last core feature we have to do. We have to fix its name. So let's pull the editor back up, and now that we're back within the asset editor, we want to change the block's name. We can do this by going to translation properties and seeing that it's still using the soil_dirt's name, which is just dirt. This isn't ideal, so let's change it. We're going to change it to the block's UID that we made earlier. So muddy_soil. There we go. Now, as you can see, the name's disappeared because we don't actually have this name set up anywhere yet. So let's hop over to the folder for the pack and set that up. Once you navigate back to the packs folder, we're going to go into server, and we're going to create a new folder. We're going to call this folder languages with a capital L. We're going to go inside of that folder, and we're going to create another new folder called EN lowercase dash US uppercase, or English US. Inside of here, and we're going to create a new text document. We're going to change the file extension as well, and we're going to call it server.lang and hit enter, and just confirm that we want to change the extension. That will change it from a text file to a lang file. Now, if you can't see the file extensions, you can see view and then click on file name extensions. This will allow you to see and edit the file names extensions for the server file. You can also open up the file in Notepad, go File, Save As, and then change this to all files. That will let you change the file extension as well, and you want to change it to server.lang, hit save, yes, and then you're good to go. Now, inside of here, what we're going to do is put the name for the item that is in the asset editor. So that items muddy_soil.name. So items.muddy_soil.name. Then we're going to do an equal symbol. Now, after the equal symbol, we're going to put what we want the item to actually be called in the game. So we're going to call it muddy space soil. Then we're going to hit file, save, and now we're good to go. And now if we go into the game itself, you can see that it's still saying server.items.muddy_soil.name. Now, that's normal. All you have to do is just restart your world and it will work. So let's do that real quick. And now that we're back inside the world, you can see that it's now called Muddy Soil. And we can open up the inventory, and it says that the item is called Muddy Soil. And if we look at the ID for the item, it's now our Muddy Soil, well, muddy_soil, and that's the item's ID. And if we go search for it, we can search for Muddy Soil right here. And now we have a fully functional Muddy Soil block. Fully custom block inside of Hytale. Now, you can use these steps to make basically any single block you want. snow, sand, more variations of dirt, grass, etc. You can change each of the different sides of the block's texture to be different, like a grass block where you want the grass to be on the top, and then like dirt and grass on the sides, and then dirt on the bottom. You can do that as well. The skies are the limits when it comes to making custom blocks inside of this game, and it's exceedingly easy to do so. Now, you can do more custom stuff like changing the actual hitboxes of the block itself, so that way you can seep into snow a little bit. You can change the particles, you can change the breaking effects whenever you break the block, you can change the sound effects. There's plenty of other things that can be changed that I will be going over in later videos. But for now, this is how you get a basic normal block into Hytale. Now, real quick before I sign off, let's go over how to export a completed mod from this world and put it into another world, so that way you can share it with your friends or upload it if you wanted to. Now then, and able to use this mod in other worlds or share it to others, first we need to zip it. You can do that by going back to the pack itself, selecting everything within the pack, so common, server, manifest, etc., right-clicking on it, and then hit send to compressed zip folder. Then we're going to give it a name. So we're going to call this the same name as it is in the game. So basic example pack. There we go. Now then, all you have to do is just share this folder. This is now a fully complete, working, functioning mod. And if you want to use it in another world, for example, what we can do is copy this and then go to your Hytale Games installation location. Go to Game, then User Data, find the mods folder, and then paste it right here. And you're done. Now all you have to do is just go back into the game. Now that we're back inside the game, we can go to Worlds and then edit whatever world we want to put the mod into. For example, let's go to Unmodded World. So we're going to right-click on that to edit it, and as we can see, our basic example pack is right here. And if we want to turn it on, we can just click on this and then save the world settings. And now that world has our mod in it. And if we were to go into it, our mod will be in there and it will be loading the block properly. And that's basically it. That's all you have to do and able to add your mod to a new world is just zip the file and then put it into your mod file within your user directory. And if you want to, you can just share that zip file to any of your friends if you want to have them try out your mod, or post it online if you want to publish it on something like CurseForge, for example. However, one thing to keep in mind, if we were to, for example, go to where we're making the mod, so example world, and we see the basic example pack, if your mod is in the user folder, if it's in the mods folder, it is going to mess up and corrupt the pack that is currently in the world that you're editing it with. It doesn't seem to be permanently damaging anything, but it does override it. So even if it's off, even if it doesn't matter if it's on or if it's off, if I were to go into this world, the textures for all of the blocks that you have added, all the items, everything for your mod is going to be wrong. It's going to be all messed up. So if you're editing your mod, it's a good idea to not have it inside of your mods folder. You just want to have it inside the world folder that you are editing it in. But yeah, that's everything. That's how you add a custom block into Hytale, change its textures to what you want it to be, make the pack file layout so you can add the block and every other item that you want to add, and change the block's name to what you want it to be. Now, there's still plenty of other things that we can do with this, and this is so overwhelmingly easy to get into modding Hytale. I am so excited to see what the community has in store for us and what people will make with this game. The limits are near limitless. But for now, that's everything we're going to go off of this video. Please subscribe and hit the notifications so that way you are notified of the tutorials that I plan on releasing here in the coming days, and upcoming streams of exploring modding and just exploring the game in general, and a few other special videos that I have planned and am working on. But for now, this is Dr. Grayscale signing off.